seconds away on Studio 5. A Hollywood power couple saves sex for marriage.
What you find is every time that you're not with your husband, you give a piece of yourself away.
And share the story behind the wait. Then, the man behind this viral video on student debt now talks sexual purity.
My name is D1, and I'm in Studio 5 with Ephraim.
Studio 5 starts now. And those are just some of the sights and sounds of Hollywood, Los Angeles, California, which today is the home of Studio 5. Welcome to the show. We're talking about sexual purity today and sitting down with film executive Devon Franklin and his wife, Hollywood actress Meagan Good. But first, let's take a look at the top 5 from Studio 5. At number 5.
Steph, no. I am clearing my schedule and I'm moving in with my sister.
Fuller House might be the most popular show on television. Ratings experts claim the Netflix show starring Candace Cameron Bure has drawn more than 14 million viewers. Those numbers would make the show more popular than mega hits like The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones. At number 4.
Whenever my parents talked about Valentine, they always called it home.
The classic romance Love Finds You in Valentine is available on DVD. The Dove-approved film involves a dark past and a longtime family feud and stars Michaela McManus, Diogo Morgado, and screen legends Lindsay Wagner and Ed Asner. It is based on the book by Irene Brand. At number 3, and just in time for Father's Day.
I told myself I'm not going to be no deadbeat father.
Malik Yoba is one of the executive producers of this film titled Daddy Don't Go. The emotional documentary follows the lives of 4 young fathers struggling to navigate parenthood over a 2-year period. The disadvantaged but hopeful young fathers all live in New York City. Now on to number 2. Mel Gibson and screenwriter Randall Wallace are working on a sequel to The Passion of the Christ. Wallace told The Hollywood Reporter the film will tell the story of the resurrection of Jesus. Wallace and Gibson have worked together before. Wallace was nominated for an Academy Award for scripting Gibson's 1985 Best Picture Oscar winner, Braveheart. And finally, on to number 1.
One day, Nick had a crazy idea. Get 1 million people to stand together on the National Mall for Jesus. Because why not?
Prepare to be among 1 million filling the National Mall on July 16th. Nick Hall, referred to by many as the Billy Graham for this generation, has called for 1 million people to gather for an event called Together 2016.
Before God brings revival to your city, to your community, He needs to bring revival to you.
And those are your top 5 from Studio 5 this week. The focus of today's show is sexual purity. And we're sitting down with actress Meagan Good and her husband, Hollywood film executive Devon Franklin. They've recently written a book called The Wait. It's the focus of today's interview. Here in Hollywood, Devon Franklin isn't your typical film executive. This behind-the-scenes movie maker graces magazine covers. He's married to actress Meagan Good, and he's a minister.
When you turn the page to the book of Joshua, God says Moses is dead. He's not coming back, but you guys have to get up, stop mourning, and go into the land that's promised to you.
You actually started preaching when you were 15. Some would say, what's a preacher doing in Hollywood?
And I would say, what's a preacher not doing in Hollywood? You know, I mean, you have to. The Bible consistently, God consistently puts His people in perceived difficult environments, perceived dark environments, and perceived challenging environments. Because what better way for Him to get the glory than for His people to succeed in environments where people think it's not possible?
Succeeding against the odds is a familiar script.
Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something.
For the man who helped to make The Pursuit of Happiness, Heaven is for Real, and Annie. But perhaps the most memorable film for him is Jumping the Broom. On that set is where he met his wife, actress Meagan Good, back in 2011.
When we first got together, I had so much baggage and so much damage and so much pain. We had to unpack it, and it was difficult. You know, it was a lot of even pre-engagement counseling, where we literally just talked, and, you know, we found that I had this deep-rooted kind of like, just this feeling of like, I'll never be enough for somebody, no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try. And it took a long time for us to really get to a place where we got past that.
This was a unique relationship for Meagan, whose heart had been broken in previous chances she'd taken at love.
You give a piece of yourself away. You lose confidence in the essence of who you were created to be to begin with. And so as you go from relationship, you know, or if you are being promiscuous throughout those years, it damages you.
As a movie maker and minister, Devon shared with her his vow to God to reserve sex for marriage. It was a special relationship from the start, and even Hollywood took notice.
People would come up to us and ask, well, how'd you get to know each other and what was going on?
That curiosity opened the door for the couple to share a powerful secret to their relationship story. They were waiting until marriage to have sex.
As we started telling our story, more people were interested, and people began to really want to get real information that could help them in their love life.
What I found is a lot of people, not just in the world, but that are here in Hollywood as well, that are practicing it, that would never talk about it. They're too embarrassed. They feel that they'll be shamed or that they're old school.
Celibacy before marriage is biblical, but Hollywood doesn't always portray it as the best choice to make in relationships.
It's just the mere presentation of doubt that maybe it's actually not as bad for you as you think, or maybe it's actually better for you than you think. And that is where the lie comes in, that we don't need to follow God's plan, that there is a better plan out there, an easier plan, and a plan that'll make you happier. And the truth is, there isn't a better plan. God's plan is the best plan, and it does require sacrifice, and it does require obedience, and it's not always easy, but it is deeply rewarding.
I've never been in a relationship before where I have so much trust.
It's just given, you know, us a whole lot more peace, a lot more understanding, honoring God in this area. He has blessed every other area, because when you present your body as a living sacrifice, He honors that.
This Hollywood power couple is sharing the power of God's plan for relationships in the book, The Wait. It is already a New York Times bestseller.
This book is for everyone. You know, I think it's for everybody of every age, in any part in your life.
The goal was, you know, to help people in this area, which is an area I think that most people don't really talk about openly, especially when you talk about from the church perspective and from a faith perspective. You know, how do you wait? And sometimes that idea, even for a church community and a Christian community, can feel like, oh, well, we know that's in the Bible somewhere, but it's not really in the culture. So we don't really talk about it because no one really does it anymore. It's like one of those old kind of rules. But we felt like, well, no, it's actually, you know, as relevant today as it was then. And when you practice it, there's a blessing and a benefit to it. And because practicing it had benefited our lives in such an incredible way, we felt like we wanted to share it.
Devon and Meagan are celebrating 4 years of marriage. Their book, The Wait, is available now wherever books are sold. Still ahead on Studio 5.
No, I stay away from the alcohol.
The hip-hop artist who says no to alcohol, pornography, profanity, and sex, as we continue this Studio 5 conversation about sexual purity.
But guess what I did? I finished paying Sally Maybach.
That's just a sample of Sally Maybach, the song about student debt that is making D1 famous all over the place. We are sitting down with a Louisiana rapper once again now to talk about the issue of sexual purity as we continue the interview right here from Hollywood.
I see the spirit in that man, now that's something to see.
D1 is a rapidly rising recording artist, but the fame isn't going to his head. Check out his ride around town when he's at home in New Orleans. a nearly 20-year-old car with more than 250,000 miles on it. Are you still driving the 98 Honda?
Oh, you know about it. Oh, I am definitely still driving my 98 Honda. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Did you fix the gear?
Yeah, because I couldn't go anywhere, man. When the gear broke, I was like, oh, goodness, I can't even, I can't even literally put it in park at the moment. I rigged it up so I could go to church that morning because, I was about to skip church, man.
And go to the studio.
Go to the studio. And I learned my lesson ASAP. So, yes, I'm still driving the 98 Honda. It's symbolic of my journey. I was driving it when I was a middle school math teacher a few years ago. And I was telling my students, it's not about your material possessions. It's about the content of your character. It's not about what I drive. It's about what am I rapping about that's influencing people to fulfill their God-given purpose in life. Now that I have achieved some success in the hip-hop industry, that car has been loyal to me the whole time. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be loyal to you. I'm going to keep you.
He was born David Augustine Jr., and he became D1 the rapper in 2005 in college, following a flood of natural disasters and real-life disappointments. Hip-hop was just a hobby.
I was bored, so my boys and I, we would just freestyle in the dorm room. But that's the same year that Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. That's the same year that I went from being the high school star on the basketball team to getting cut when I started college. So my ego was real big. I'm the man in high school, I get cut. That's the same year that my girlfriend, who I had been with since 10th grade, cheated on me when we went to college and we broke up. That's the same year that one of my best friends in New Orleans, who I grew up with from 5 years old, got murdered in the neighborhood that we grew up in. All of this stuff happened. That's what inspired me to want to express all of these emotions I was feeling through hip hop.
Got them down, till I paid them all off. Peace sign.
D1 touched the emotions of many people in America with this hit, Sally Maybach, a song inspired by the freedom he felt after finally paying off his student loans.
I finished paying Sally Maybach.
Did you ever think that a song about student debt would be something that would catapult you to such popularity?
Honestly, I knew it would. I was 100% confident. Let me explain. It was about the timing. See, God has revealed to me that he has placed me on this earth and in this industry to glorify him, to be a light, to be a bridge. People are looking at this interview right now and they're looking at me and they're like, where did this guy come from? What does he do? But when they hear what comes out of my mouth, they're like, wow, he's inspired by something other than what this world can offer you. And that's true. I'm inspired by God's, blessing of life to me. With that being said, I've been knowing that he has a platform that's way larger than what I currently have, waiting for me. But I also knew that God wouldn't elevate me to that platform until my walk was like as pure as I could humanly make it, because why elevate me and give me a platform if I'm only going to embarrass him?
You have made some real conscious decisions and to talk about. One is your decision to be not just celibate, but pure.
Yes, it's a difference. It's a difference. A lot of people don't understand that. There's these levels of Christianity, all right? Man, I have such an awesome story that just happened in New York. I'm doing a radio interview on a high-profile radio station, mainstream radio station, high-profile DJ. And he's like, I guess he heard about that as well, about me, being celibate. So he asked me, he's like, man, so you mean to tell me that if you meet a fine girl in the lobby right now, that you wouldn't be trying to take her up to your room and, and have sex with her? And I'm like, I said, bro, when I signed up for this Christian walk, it's equivalent to you getting a job at this radio station, and if there's a set of ethics and standards that you all should be striving to abide by, what if you just pick a couple of them off of that list? Let's say there's 10 of them, and you say, I'm just not gonna follow this one, I'm not gonna follow this one. Number 2 and number 7, nah, I'm just not even trying to do those. For me, that's how I view sexual purity. If you're not married, we have these levels, man, to where some people say, well, look, I'm not sleeping with that many people outside of marriage. So, look, I'm comparing myself to these other people, and they're way worse than me. You have other people who say, well, I am not having sex at all outside of marriage. But that doesn't mean that I don't watch porn. That doesn't mean that masturbation isn't a part of my life. You know, once again, who are you comparing yourself to? And I just got to that point where I was like, I'm not asking God for any half-hearted blessings. I'm not asking God to just listen to my prayers 80% of the time. So why should I try to adhere to 80% of his rules? You know what I mean? And I'm just on that mission. Shouldn't we be striving to be more like Jesus? And wasn't he perfect? You know? Yeah. So we're not gonna be perfect, but at least striving for it, that's what gets me excited every day. That's what gets me excited every interview. Is like, oh, I got work to do, because I know I'm not perfect, but man, I'm trying. And when I mess up, you know, I think my biggest thing is not getting too down on myself.
But that's where grace comes in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's
yes,
where
sir.
grace comes
yes,
in.
Sir.
You are always ready to rhyme, I understand.
Yes.
You are.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
So before I let you go, I want you to spit something for me.
All right, look. Be real, be righteous, be relevant. Throw your threes up. D1 gonna represent. Look, ever since Mike Brown shot, if you still rapping about killing folks, you just as bad as the cops. I be building with children, nothing but gems what I'm spitting. And tell them just cause they alive, that don't mean that they living. I'm Martin Luther King, Tupac, and Detroit Red. But all the girls say I look like Chris Brown with dreads. Man. No, you don't know nobody like me. Middle school teacher turned rap star. That ain't like Lee, it's my season. And before this, God held me back for a reason, because I was battling demons. Now they out my system, so I'm back to having fun. The barbershop saying, who better, Cole, Kendrick, or D1? Huh. I fear God, not no whack Illuminati. So till I'm married, no sex. It's time to purify my body.
And D1 is also making more music news. He recently teamed up with Big Crit and Lupe Fiasco for the remake of his 2014 hit, Against Us. Still ahead, kicking off the summer movie season. In the Studio 5 Summer Movie Calendar.
What a good feeling to know that I got someone so perfect.
If you're in a 20-year relationship, and that's what this has been for me, a 20-year relationship with the music industry, there are times when you don't feel as in love. You know, in a natural relationship it's the same thing, and you have to kind of go back and examine, why am I doing this again? And for me, you know, I really prayed and I said, Lord, it has to be, I've achieved my natural goals. So I was like, what is the real legacy of it all? And he spoke back to me, to the hearts of women, to the minds of men, encouraging them in love. And I said, okay, I'm gonna say this when I get on stage. Every time I go up, I'm gonna let people know that this is my purpose.
Kenny Lattimore, a man of faith and the king of the love ballad, the perfect soundtrack for this edition of Studio 5, coming to you from Hollywood and talking about the issue of sexual purity. You know, Hollywood is also the perfect place for us to take a pause and look ahead to what's coming up this summer at the box office.
I remembered something. That's not possible, is it?
The much anticipated sequel to Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, hits theaters June 17th.
Okay, is it like a picture in your head and then you think I've seen this before? I just used the word before, which means I'm remembering something.
Ellen DeGeneres once again lends her voice to the animated character in the story that takes place 6 months after the events of 2003's Finding Nemo. Independence Day Resurgence hits theaters June 24th.
What goes up must come down.
This will revisit the alien invaders of the 1996 blockbuster Independence Day. Will Smith opted out, but most of the original cast is on board. July 15th brings Ghostbusters to theaters.
Here is your coffee, Abby.
Thank you. Did you get sugar in it this time?
Chris Hemsworth plays secretary to the all-star cast of female comedians, including Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig. And rounding out our list at 5 summer releases is Suicide Squad, hitting theaters August 5th. This one stars Will Smith, with a band of other supervillains hired to take down the mastermind Joker.
I can't wait to show you my toys.
Soon to come on this Studio 5 Hollywood edition, catching up with the LA Dodgers pitcher off the mound.
I was given a gift to throw a baseball. It's just, Lord, be with me.
And on a path to a bigger purpose. Studio 5 never stops working when it comes to bringing you uplifting entertainment news. Let's take a look ahead to next week. From a college dorm room to the National Mall.
10 years ago, the student movement started when I was in college.
We're sitting down with Nick Hall, the man behind the Reset 2016 movement.
Jesus is offering a reset. I believe that today is the day.
Why he says now is the time for our nation to come together and turn to the Lord.
God's offering it. The time is now. There's hope for today.
That's next week. For now, on this Hollywood edition of Studio 5, we've come to Dodger Stadium to give the final word to pitcher Clayton Kershaw. It's a message for you that life is bigger than you.
I love baseball. I have a huge passion to play the game. I was given a gift to throw a baseball. I think I'm in the place where I should be right now. It's just, Lord, be with me. Winning and losing isn't the most important thing. He's not worried about the outcome of the game. He's worried about how I reflect him and how I'm pitching. I think every time you pitch and every time you go on that mound, you have to understand that it's for him. If your life is given to God and you're into Jesus, there's really no pressure, because at the end of the day, your life's in His control, and you just kind of surrender to that. He's in every aspect of our life, and sooner or later He'll get in there. It's just a matter of time.
There it is, strikeout number 11.
There's got to be more to going to your 9-to-5 job every day or coming to the baseball field every day. There's got to be more to it. There's got to be purpose. There's got to be a reason that we're here, and it's for the glory of God, living out our faith in Him.
And Clayton certainly practices what he preaches. He has started a foundation that's making a difference in the lives of children here in Los Angeles, Dallas, and the Dominican Republic. And for every strikeout he makes this season, he donates money to that foundation. That is going to do it for this edition of Studio 5. Remember to reach out and touch me at Ephraim Graham on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And then come on back next week to see where Studio 5 takes you. Bye-bye.